Hello, everyone. Welcome to Master Powercast. It's Kumite time. I haven't done one of these Kumites in a little bit. I'm pretty excited, actually. We have to.
God, hearing that just makes me want to go lift weights.
Dude, that song rules. Obviously, I can't play the entire thing because
I know
it would probably get us booted, get a copyright thing. But haven't done one of these in quite some time. We have 18 entrants for our creatures of Eternia, but I want to get a couple things out of the way. First off, I pinned it on the last episode that we did, and I apologize about my microphone. Usually, I'm on top of that kind of thing, and that one slipped by me. And number two, prepare once again for probably another schedule change. I'm pretty certain this is going to happen with me at my job, so expect this probably on the weekends. In a couple weeks time, so Saturday, Sunday. So if you ring the bell and you get notified when we are live and you want to join us in the chat like you usually do, the weekend probably going to be the place to find us. We're kind of working on that schedule as we speak to kind of get ahead of it. So and it's probably going to fluctuate depending on what we got going on on Saturdays and Sundays going forward. But you got us tonight on Friday. We're going to surprise you again for a weekday show next week because Tyler's going to be going out of town. And then after that, Saturdays or Sundays, depending. So check your local listings. But 18 entrants, Tyler. We started off, you sent me a list of, I think, 30, 29 or 30.
30. I got to 30. I was like, let's make it 30 here. And
we dwindled that down because much like Kumite's in the past, we don't want magic involved in this. Most of the dragons, and you can kind of put an asterisk there, dragons are not in this. We'll probably save that for a part 2 down the road. So we've dwindled it down to 18. Let me get this up here. Are you ready to meet the participants? Is there anything else you would care to add before we reveal who is in this Kumite?
I'm just ready to kick some ass.
All right, well said. For those of you that are new around here, welcome first and foremost. There we go. I didn't want to get tangled up there. Kumite is blood sport. That's where we got the idea from. Bloodsport has the underground tournament, so that's kind of we just taken that name and plopped it down. It's tournament style that we have here.
Oh man, what we need to do going forward for these is to have the guy who runs the Kumite and said when he says, "May the mightiest warrior prevail." Like we need to have that play. Like
so we need to start. We need to take a good chunk of clips from Bloodsport and implement them the next time that we do this. But Tyler, here we go. This is in alphabetical order, by the way. So bam, here we go. Here is our first
Arachna,
who most of you will know from Fisto's Forest. If not, there you go. Appears in Fisto's Forest. And here's a little bio for everyone there. I probably not going to read all of these.
Don't need to. I encourage people to get the encyclopedia if they really want all the fun facts on that. But just if you want, you can always pause it and just read the bio at your leisure as we go through these.
Yeah, and our audio listeners, you'll just have to buy the book. I'll read some of these though. But Ragna is our first entrant. Coming up next, Bakul,
yeah, from Tila's Quest.
And we have to establish that this is special because this is only once every 20 years thing. So this is a very special Kumite that we've been graced with the presence of someone who hasn't been seen for 20 whole years.
Yeah, well, we hold the Crimson Pearl, so he got his ass out of the water. We're not going to say what we sacrificed, but he came out. he came out for the occasion. The Karak, or the Mother Row, if you prefer, but will always be the Karak for me.
As seen in Betrayal Stratos, which we talked about a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, probably I think the only character in this Kumite that one would mostly consider a good guy. There might be a couple.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah. Well, there might be one more
Yeah, I think
that
that
is
it's kind of
misunderstood. Yeah,
yeah.
but is we'll get to that. The Catter, what I thought was Caterkiller since I was five
Caterpillar.
years old.
Yeah,
Well, hey, that's how the VHS sounded to me, Caterkiller. I didn't hear the chip there. So up until now, Nathan corrected me and said, I think it's called Caterkiller.
no, and here's the reason why. Because obviously I'm looking everyone up so I can figure out what episodes that they appeared in. And I'm looking up Caterkiller, and I'm like, this is if you look Caterkiller Master Universe, no, nothing pops up. So I'm like, let me bring the book up and let me look this up. And found it. I was like, Tyler, it's Caterkiller. And you're like, what? Obviously, they wouldn't have put killer in the name for a kids' cartoon.
Well, that's just what I thought it was growing up, and still till just a few days ago. That's how the audio sounded to me. That it just wasn't as clear. Then after you sent me that, I went back and listened. Like, fuck, I can hear that right now, man.
Your childhood was a lie.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not afraid to say when I make mistakes.
Caterchiller appears in The Ice Age Cometh. And here goes a nice little shot from the episode that they used in the book here.
Yeah.
So hibernating beneath Eternia's weather station, the Caterchiller, also known as the Great Caterchiller, was awakened by Orko. The creature was large and hairy and had the ability to shoot webbing from its mouth. Although it was aggressive, it was possible that the creature was merely annoyed by having its sleep disturbed, and it soon returned to hibernation. The Darklings, now I want to specify here that it's only going to be one Darkling participating in this tournament. We have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And I got to stress here that Darklings work better when there are more of them and they can work together.
True.
Yeah. So House of Chakotay Part 2, one of Tyler's all-time favorite episodes.
My God, I can't stop pining or just I just paw this episode all the time, man. It's just we'll be getting to that soon enough.
They blend into the darkness and attack in swarms, latching onto their victim with their tentacles. But once again, they work better when there's more of them. We're only getting one.
Yeah.
And that's Kumite. So everyone at home, keep that in mind.
Yeah, the Dracodon.
Dracodon. From Creatures from the Tar Swamp.
That's a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah, potential heavy favorite going into this.
I would
Kumite.
definitely think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was able to traverse great distances with ease, possesses immense strength, and its jaws could effortlessly bite through rock. Having emerged from the tar swamp, there were still patches of tar on the creature, one of which contained Orko's magic medallion.
I for years too also thought that was called Tracodon.
Yeah, some of the way that you spelled some of these, I was like, that can't be right.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, I was like,
I was aware that this was Dracodon, but probably up into my late 20s, I really thought it was Track, because just based on the audio from the VHS I would watch repeatedly, it just sounds like Skeletor says Tracodon.
Yeah.
So,
Giant Crawler up next, has appeared in Song of Solace. We actually got a couple characters.
Yeah, a couple of giant bugs featured.
It's a good shot here in the Man at Arms. And I mean, its nightmare's face featured long protruding claws to either side of its mouth that could grab its victims. So.
Make a quick snack out of Man at Arms there.
Yep, there you go. Grassler.
Yeah.
Honestly, Grassler, featured in Fisto's Forest, doesn't really get a lot of screen time. And the vast majority of all of these, when you go and pinpoint their appearances in these episodes, are bested by He-Man fairly quickly. So that aspect of it, I don't think was really going to play any part in our decision making within here. We're kind of thinking about height, stature, strength.
All everything that would go into a if you're making a bet on a fight, you look at the guy's stats, their record. Of course, we don't have any records with these characters, but their ferocity. Do they look a lot more formidable than the creature they're pitted up against?
And not much written here for the bio, obviously. No. I mean, it's just a giant grizzly bear.
Yeah, but very very intimidating. The Gryphon.
Which this is where the asterisk comes into play, because technically this is a dragon.
does breathe fire, but it's not magical.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I told Nathan's like, well, yeah, it is a hybrid, but it's not like, you know, any of the other dragon. It does breathe fire, but it's not evil by any means. It's a overprotective mother.
Because the top of the list when Tyler sent the 30, Grandamir's at the top. I'm like, well, Grandamir's going to be in the thing. Grandamir's going to win.
Too. It's like, dude, we can't
make this too easy.
Yeah. Grandmother just going to squash everybody.
Yeah.
The
ice hacker.
Yeah.
Appears in the Dragon's Gifts, which I think in the episode there are 3 of them.
There's 3 of them, and then it's also reused as something called the Snow Beast in the Christmas special, but a lot more intimidating here as the ice hacker.
And one of the few that manages to bring He-Man down to his knees.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, I guess. But at the same time, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
Also appeared in the mini comics.
Did, and I'm sorry, but I love the Filmation version a lot more.
Oh yeah.
Not to say that
I mean, that's pretty intimidating.
It is, but there's something that it's just like a very intense looking kind of cat-like polar bear.
Yeah.
The one in Filmation. The Manticore, which was featured in Orko's Favorite Uncle, and also featured in I believe it was the Dragon's Gift mini comic as well.
Yep. Also the Ladybird.
Yeah.
So special abilities is agility, and I actually kind of like the way in the mini comics that we get and in the Ladybird books, like having that tail there. That's cool.
I do prefer those versions over Filmation. Filmation's he looks, even though he's big and intimidating, he's a little too friendly in the face. I mean, not that something that big and terrifying wouldn't tear you to pieces anyway, but the others where they behave more like a lion or like an actual a cat. So
yeah. The Sand Digger.
Yeah.
Has appeared in House of Shakoti Part 1, which I'm gonna leave. I mean, obviously you take a look at this character, you can kind of think of what a potential weakness would really be here, and I'll save that for when we actually get to the brackets themselves. Special abilities, of course, digging, otherwise when we called the Sand Digger. Sand Diggers were turtles created with 3 horns that burrowed under the sand. They were able to dig and move rapidly underground. They would emerge to attack their victims. So it's like the graboids and Tremors.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
The Shadow Beast, which is the character that I think is probably most well known in this Kumite, without a doubt.
So, yeah.
And has the most appearances in Filmation, Tila's Quest, A Beastly Sideshow, Prince Adam, No More, and The Rarest Gift of All. I've left out Shadow Beast, have an episode in NYP. Also, we got it in Classics form. So Shadow Beast, very popular. Would popular even be the right word?
I would say so. I think even a lot of, I would go as far as say probably a lot of casual fans are aware of what the Shadow Beast, because if it's it's used so many episodes, it was given a classic figure, and I think because of Tila's Quest alone, that's how I always. I mean, aside from the episodes I would see them later on in, like it always comes back to Tila's Quest because they were just given even though it's a short, just like all these creatures, it was given a very memorable moment. With the whole horde of Shadow Beasts.
Strength, agility, and stealth. But also keep this in mind, they like to hunt in packs. So individually, we'll see how far Shadow Beast can go in this Kumite. Up next is the Shrieker. Featured in Creatures from the Tar Swamp and Wizard of Stone Mountain. So special abilities, flight, and shrieking.
Yeah. Just being really obnoxious.
Yeah. And honestly, pretty strong, because I want to say, is it Creatures from the Tar Swamp that the Shrieker actually grabs a hold of a Wind Raider?
Well, it takes down a Wind Raider and also takes off with He-Man, too.
Yeah. So something to keep in mind there. Sleeping Beast.
Yeah.
Is featured in House of Shakoti Part 2. I think close to maybe the second biggest creature in the Kumite.
Yeah, most definitely.
Summoned by Shakoti from a tar pool within the House of Darkness, the sleeping beast was a truly hideous creature. The green-colored beast had one bulbous eye, a large mouthful of curving, razor-sharp teeth, and many tentacles with which to ensnare its victims, but gets taken out by a pillar from He-Man and falls back into the tar pool. So, something to think about there. I like Spidosaur.
I do too. It was given 2 real prominent appearances and then reused and it was the Taking Castle Grayskull tour, where it's given a different look and everything, but it's the same creature reused. But a very very beautifully designed creature, to say the least. Yeah.
Featured in a double-edged sword
and the Dragon Invasion.
Spidosaurs were maroon in color, possessed many tentacles, and resembled lizards. They dwelled within the sands of time. They were strong enough to absorb shots from a scatter ray. The Swamp Bat.
I always liked the Swamp Bat, even though it's barely
used.
Yeah, but it's just such an intriguing looking character.
It's scary looking.
It is. It didn't scare me as a kid, but it was just like, oh my god, look at that, And I just wish we had gotten to see more. Like, can you imagine like a whole flock of these things?
Yeah.
Like that would be quite an intense fight to see He-Man go into battle with a bunch of this, because they look like they're maybe not a full 6 feet tall. I mean, maybe they are like standing completely upright, but about the size of an average human being. So
right,
pretty nasty looking.
You can find the Swamp Bat in Colossal Awakes. And dwelling deep within the Eternian jungle, Swamp Bats were bat creatures which stood on their hind legs and can fly at great speed. I want to put this in here. Papa Hood 69 saying Daymar clears the Kumite. Yeah, that's why we kept the demons out.
No demons. We had others like Crawl. I was like, anyone with magical powers that's a creature like Braylock, Demon of the Night, Locust, from Wizard of Stone Mountain, like all formidable creatures. But we're just like, you know what? Anyone's got magic is gonna take out. It's just like we can't do this. We got to have demons and dragons, maybe in another Kumite.
Yeah, that's why actually we're gonna call it Demons and Dragons.
Yeah,
of Eternia. Or just call it Demons and Dragons Kumite. No demons in this one. We're gonna save it for another one because, like Tyler said, if we put them in there, then it's pretty easy to determine the winner.
Believe me, not one listener right now or anyone listening in the future, if we put Granamere in here, not one of you is going to sit there and say that Granamere wouldn't kick the shit out of everyone we got listed here.
I mean, there'd probably be a couple, but
next, if you want to be a dick about it, but
we got Yogg.
Yeah,
who you can also find in Song of Solace. Yogg was a green lizard-like monster with a hard-shelled tentacles, arms, and a tail that terrorized the people of Taran.
Yeah.
Potato. When not subdued by Solace's singing, it wrought great destruction. So that's the only way to tame this beast. And that is the field of 18. Tyler, are you ready for the bracket?
Let the mightiest creature prevail.
All right. Let me switch this here and bring up. There we go. All right. Tyler has not seen this bracket because much like we've done in the past, I take him, I set up the bracket, and Tyler is in the dark. So hopefully I did this okay. We'll see how it goes. I didn't make any changes before we did the show like I thought I was going to do. So this is what we're going to roll with for this one. Maybe it's something we can revisit and switch up depending on how the results go. But oh yeah, let's switch that here and let me take that off there. So here we go. I know it's going to be a little tough to see. The images are kind of small, but this is what I got to work with the OBS.
Interesting lineups here.
We'll probably obviously we're going to start with our what is the NBA, how they do the playoffs now?
What you mean, like first round?
Yeah, well, no, like the teams that have to determine the 8th seed. What do they call that shit?
Oh, well, they have the play-in tournament.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna get a little bit of our play-in over here. If you see those that are jarting out to your left and right of the screen, so our first matchup is going to be the Darkling Darkling versus Arachna, and then we're going to have Grazzler versus Sand Digger. So let's start with Darkling versus Arachna first. Tyler, who do you got?
Well, the Darklings can fly, and Arachna, I mean, crawl on walls and very, very agile, and can project webbing. The Darklings, I think they can kind of become almost invisible at will.
Mm-hmm. But if the Darkling
gets a hold of the Arachna, like it manages to wrap its tentacles around it,
you think Arachna's done?
Quite possibly, because if you look at House Chakotay, it took 3 of them to subdue He-Man, which that's saying a lot. So if 3 can subdue He-Man, 1 should still be quite formidable. You know what? I'm gonna have to go with the Darkling on that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me bring this up. Because what I'm going to do as well, if it comes down to it, we will have a couple ways that we're going to do tiebreakers. We'll put the 2 combatants multiple times in the wheel. We'll spin the wheel. We'll do 2 out of 3, and whoever gets that will advance. We will also, since there's a good chunk of you guys in here chatting along, I might put a poll up in the chat at some point, and you guys can vote, and we will see. You will be the tiebreaker. And if James manages to pop up in the chat, then he would also be the sole tiebreaker as well. So you're going with Darkling on this one.
Yeah, I'm going with Darkling on this one.
And your reasoning is you think if Darkling gets a hold of Arachna, if it manages to get to that point, it's done. It's over.
I think so. But, Arachna's fast. And if it... I just feel like because the Darkling can move all over the place. The Arachna, has to cling to walls and everything. So I just feel like it may wear Arachna out. The Darkling just moving all over the place and, wearing it out. And eventually, swoops down on it from behind, wraps its tentacles around its neck, And
just squeezes it to death?
Just squeezes it to death, yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of tough because they're both pretty quick.
Yes, yeah. And spiders in general, as we all know. I mean, I not just because of Spider-Man, but I've seen spiders move really, really fast trying to avoid being hit, and boy, they move really damn fast. So,
I mean, honestly, I'm tempted to go Arachna just because I think Arachna's fast enough. But at the same time, the webbing takes a little bit longer. Darkling just has to latch onto you and wrap. Mm-hmm. So, actually, in that regard, I think you're right, and I think Darkling should at best Arachna and move on.
So the Darkling will take on the Karok.
Yep. But we will move to Grazzler versus Sand Digger. So we got our Grizzly Bear versus our Digging Turtle. I think the Sand Digger's greatest problem is if Grazzler, if they meet and smash, Grazzler is strong enough to lift Sand Digger and put him on his back. I think it's done so. Especially if Sand Digger has no ability here to dig within this arena to get away from it. But even then, I don't think the Sand Digger can really do much when it's on its back to burrow in the ground, correct?
No, if it were to get flipped on its back, it's pretty much done. But I feel like the Sand Digger's got quite a charge because you see how fast it moves in the sand. Now, granted, that's where it's at its strongest is when it's on the ground, so you can move quickly. But for something that big, gets any kind of running start. I mean, I kind of feel like that Grazzler has got to move a lot quicker and hit that Sand Digger just right to reach up underneath its neck to start pushing. Because if not, that Sand Digger could impale the Grazzler with one of the horns, or knock him right on his ass and just stomp right all over him.
And Sand Digger kind of has a size advantage too. So I my vote goes for Sand Digger.
Me too.
All right. Sandigger against the Spinosaur in the next round. So that'll be an interesting matchup. Tyler, let's start and from the bottom left and work our way up. So we will have the Ice Hacker against Bakul.
You know, I'm going to have to go with Bakul just because sheer size alone. Even though the Ice Hackers tower over He-Man and Teela, like Bakul is substantially bigger.
Not by too much, though.
Not too much, but he can smash stone. I mean, of course, the Ice Hacker. I feel like though. I look at that as almost like a polar bear. Polar bears are not an animal to be, taken lightly. They're some of the most aggressive animals on the planet. That's not what we're talking about here. But I look at that as like Eternia's version of a polar bear.
Yeah. It's kind of tough, I think, but I think
they both have got claws, so it's not like they can start slashing, slashing each other good. But then again, too, with the Ice Hacker residing in cold temperatures, the Bakul requires water for most of its time.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and of course, we don't know for a fact if an Ice Hacker can live outside cold temperatures anyway. That's just us being fanboys about it.
That's true. And we haven't really necessarily established because this would all have to take place in one generic arena, right?
And that's what I feel like, though. Any animal that relies on environment to survive and thrive would be at a disadvantage. That's why I kind of feel like Bakul requires water, but the Ice Hacker requires cold temperature.
How about this? I guess we could just flip levers that incorporates all of it. So both cooler temperatures and water are both here in the simulation between these two fighting.
Okay, like if we were going to put together like an environment that accommodates both creatures.
Yeah.
Well, if we have a body of water with ice, if Bakul grabs a hold of the Ice Hacker and takes it underwater, it's dead.
There's lots of scenarios here.
Because obviously Bakul can live underwater for great periods of time, not just stay underwater, but it lives underwater for long periods of time. So, being underwater at its size, if it were to grab a hold of anything, we don't, if the Ice Hacker's in a polar bear, it could go underwater, but it does not live underwater. Bakul can go in and just put a death grip on there and just keep it down.
But I mean, polar bears are good at swimming and stuff too in the underwater. So I mean, that slight disadvantage, but not so much really when you think about it. Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect this one to be as tough as it is.
I didn't think about it too much because I like to do this all kind of spur of the moment,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because it's like, all right, if we're just visually putting them here in this environment, like blood sport environment, then obviously that kind of changes things. So I guess if we kind of play to everyone's strengths and pit them against each other, I think that's kind of how we have to look at this.
Yeah. Well, but if we put them in a neutral environment, then it really requires, the size, their strength.
True.
So
maybe just all around. I don't know. We're just kind of winging it on this. I just put together the brackets, man.
Yeah.
And watched them in action.
I still think I'm going to give the edge to Bakul.
Yeah, Bakul for me as well, actually. The more and more we start talking about it, it's like, the Ice Hacker is great. And as you see in the episode and as you saw in the still shot that we used was able to, for at least a second, to really weigh He-Man down. So, so like that's a good amount of strength going on there. But
well, there's no weaklings in any of these. Obviously they're not given a whole lot of time because they're they're just a barrier. They're a roadblock for our heroes to go through. So but just kind of based on the basics, this I think it's just what we have to really base it on too. Plus, if they're just a really badass, man, so which all these are. There's not a lame one. if we did that, that's just there was one I'm like, it's lame, but it's a very powerful one too, and it has magic too. It's like, I can't use that either.
I can't use that. Up next, Manticore versus Yogg, and let's use the Manticore that we saw visually from the Ladybird book and the mini comic.
I'm gonna say Yogg.
Yeah, Yogg's got a lot going on. Yogg's got way too much, too many. I mean, you got the horn on the head, you have the hard shell, you got all the tentacles. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, I think the Manticore would put up a decent fight, but I don't think it would be a very long fight against Yogg.
I think it would be long enough, and then Manticore just doesn't have the endurance.
Yeah, I agree.
For the fight. Let me go ahead and make these a little bit bigger too for the audience at home. All right, up next, the most popular of the franchise, it seems like, of these creatures in here, Shadow Beast taking on Caterchiller.
Caterchiller's got a significant size advantage over the Shadow Beast.
It does.
But the Shadow Beast is a lot faster. So,
I mean, it is, but also Caterchiller, I think, spraying out the webbing to cocoon it, that could probably easily take the Shadow Beast down.
That could, but it's, I mean, I feel like the strength alone, like the Shadow Beast, crawl on things. I feel like it could probably grab a hold of, if it was like an enclosed area, I feel like it could climb up, and dodge. I think of it as like it's like a very, very menacing looking version of a gorilla. Is how I look at the Shadow Beast. Something that big though, like I don't see the Caterchiller as being very fast. Like I see it's extremely bigger and very much more imposing, but I feel like I'd have to give the speed advantage to the Shadow Beast. Now, only if it were to constantly avoid, the webbing fluid that it projects out, then I think it could wear it down to where it could jump on top of it, probably start slashing it at the back of its head, maybe at its belly. But then again, too, if that Caterchiller were to get a hold of the Shadow Beast, I don't think it would let go.
Yeah, but also the Caterchiller doesn't, other than its webbing.
It doesn't have
anything to really grab.
It could go up because it does have the body of a caterpillar. So I feel like if it were to climb up surfaces, but
Shadow Beast would be right there on its heels the entire time too.
Yeah, I would. You know what? I'm gonna have to say Shadow Beast.
Yeah, I am as well. We've been agreeing so far.
Yeah,
I think that will come to an end soon enough. We will shift gears and we'll go to the bottom right here. So we have a Swamp Bat versus a Sleeping Beast.
There's no contest there.
Yeah, Sleeping Beast, right?
Yeah, the Swamp Bat would only go so far. It could, of course it can fly, but I'm sorry, one of the tentacles is going to devour that Swamp Bat.
Yeah. Poor Swamp Bat. Like it only gets a few seconds in an episode, maybe about 10. A little flashbang action, and it's like, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, in these things, you got to have the job guys. That's just how it works.
Yeah, and I didn't know who was going to be in a job guy. So
up next, we have a Giant Crawler versus Gryphon.
You know what? I think it pissed off Gryphon. Well, it can fly. It's pretty damn well. They're both strong, but even though I don't like that episode, Return of the Gryphon, it's not that it has anything to do with this. I think I'd still have to give the edge to the Gryphon.
Really?
Because it can breathe fire, it can fly. I
guess it
is very aggressive too, and the Giant Crawler, it does live in cold temperatures. It lives in such an odd, the ice island in the middle of the lake of fire. Like it lives in such an odd environment. So I don't think the heat would necessarily be a quick drawback to it.
True.
The side. I mean, of course, if it stands up, it is up there in size. Probably,
but it would have to get close enough to the giant crawler in order for the crawler to grab it.
Yeah.
The fire could easily cook it, but I mean, I guess that's where we're gonna kind of end up with that if
of course if it were to grab a hold of the Gryphon. I mean, look at that. There's 2 giant mandibles right there.
Yeah.
I got to say the Gryphon.
You know what? I'm going to go giant crawler.
Okay.
I think the Gryphon's going to get too into it and get too close. I think the giant crawler is going to grab it and squeeze him pretty easy.
Okay. All right.
So this sets up our first tiebreaker, and I don't see James anywhere. So chat. Where's the window? All right, here we go. We're gonna leave it up to you guys. Let me change the stuff here. Giant crawler there. Who wins? Start poll. You guys go ahead and vote. While you are voting on that, we will go ahead and move on to the next bit. We have the Dracodon versus the Shrieker.
Oh, Dracodon.
Yeah.
Get the hold of that Shrieker. He's going to tear it in half. Yeah.
Going to rip him a new one.
I mean, just look at that. Look, that is one of the coolest shots of any creature I've ever seen in Master of the Universe. I just love this. Such an imposing looking character.
And now we are back at the top. We'll start at the left. So we have the Darkling versus Tyler, one of your favorites here.
Yep. Not just because it's one of my favorites, but I because of the size alone, they both can fly. I got to say that I think the Karok would be able to.
I think the Karok would eat the Darkling.
Probably give him like a mad stomachache and the bad shits, but I think Karok would take care of the Darkling. Hell, it took out a Baraka the Dragon, so
yeah. Obviously, these creatures with flight, I guess, sort of have somewhat of an advantage to a degree.
Yeah.
To a degree.
But we are looking at these brackets now. We're building up some great semifinals.
I'll check here for the results here in a second. So, Spidosaur versus the Sand Digger. So this is kind of...
Yeah, these are 2 desert animals.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this one's going to be kind of tough. Right now, the voting is 50-50 PS.
Holy shit. Okay, that's cool, man. That's good.
Yeah. So you guys keep voting on that, and we'll see who will move ahead.
Well, because the Spidosaur is enormous, so it's the Sand Digger. I mean,
the Spidosaur has tentacles.
It has tentacles, and it dwells in water. Sand Digger dwells underground.
It doesn't matter though; they both in this scenario have to get close to each other just based off of how they are.
I think the Spidosaur might be able to flip the Sand Digger over.
I agree because it's got all the tentacles.
Yeah, it's got extra arms. The Sand Digger is quite limited to being lower to the ground. The Spidosaur can emerge at a greater height advantage, I think.
Yeah. And even then, the Spidosaur, even if the Sand Digger is in the sand, the Spidosaur has the ability with the tentacles too to just like dig under the ground. Not as much, but has the ability to.
Yeah. So let's go with Spidosaur.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with too. Wrong one. There we go. All right.
Well, we're really getting to a clash of titans here. I'd be very curious to know what the chat is saying about the Gryphon and the giant crawler in terms of like their logic of
Well, it's still tied 50-50. I might have to just bug James and make a call to him if he's even awake and be like, "Hey man, who you got on this?"
Like, what? Bloody hell.
Yeah, just waiting on you guys. We'll give it a few more.
Yeah, we gotta have like a time limit here.
Yeah. Give you a couple more minutes. If it's still tied, I'll just put the names in the wheel. We'll do that. I don't want to bug James.
But for people wondering too, while we're waiting for this one, we got a lot of cool topics coming up in future episodes too. Character bios, revisiting certain episodes, doing what if scenarios. You know, that's something we were tossing out too, doing quite a few of those put together as well. So a lot of fun stuff coming in the pipeline as well. So in more stories and more original stories down the pipeline as well.
I'm gonna go ahead and add them to the wheel. Copy and paste that a few times. There we go. Oh, I accidentally spun it. Didn't mean to do that. I mean, the people at home can't see it anyway.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. All right, let's check it. There we go. We got another one in there. Saying giant crawler. So
okay, giant crawler advances then.
Giant crawler will advance. Keep clicking on the wrong stuff because I have the windowed version of this that's up, and then there's OBS to move the stuff. But then I look here and I move my mouse on the main screen trying to move. I can't do that. All right,
so here we go, everybody. We got a hell of a semifinals underway right now.
Well, let's go ahead and start since Giant Crawler did advance going against the Sleeping Beast. Who you got?
Man.
Because once again, Sleeping Beast and this is going to be a very close quarters fight.
Yeah.
Both kind of similar in size too.
Yeah, and then again, the entire Sleeping Beast is not fully immersed out of the pool. Like
that's true.
You know, I got to go with Sleeping Beast.
I'll go with Sleeping Beast too. Like, I think Giant Crawler would probably put up a
oh no, it would not be a squash match by any means, but I think he would probably end up maybe severing the Giant Crawler in two, maybe.
Move you out of here. Move Sleeping Beast forward. All right. Which one do you want to go with next?
We'll go with Bakul and Yogg.
Okay. I mean, once again, Bakul's got to get close. Yogg's got all those tentacles.
Yeah, God.
It's kind of a tough one, I guess. Are there too many tentacles for him to overpower?
Because I'd like, I just think some of these guys would be able to fight through some creatures that have an excessive amount of tentacles. I mean, obviously, that's what makes one of the octopus one of the most formidable creatures in the sea is all its arms. Like once it gets a hold of you, like you ain't getting away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say Yogg. I think on that one. Unless, of course, I think of like how King Kong fights a lot of the dinosaurs. Like if he were to get on Yogg's head and start, just pounding away at it oh man,
yeah, oddly kind of tough. Once again, it comes down to the strength. Is Bakul strong enough to withstand all the tentacles? Can it? Yeah, I guess it depends on the intelligence of Yogg and the tentacles working with. Like, is he aware enough? If Bakul jumps on top of him, is that if he's strong enough to maybe?
I can see him doing that, but Yogg has got 1, 3. Was it 6 tentacles? if he were to wrap one of those around Bakul's neck, like let's say
Yeah,
Bakul,
6.
straddling on top, like trying to like punch it in his head, pull its jaws back, much like how King Kong did with the Tyrannosaurus Rex. He starts wrapping any of those tentacles around Bakul's neck. It is going to be pretty damn hard for him to keep pounding away at Yogg's head and then fight off, all these tentacles, like pulling in his arms, pulling in his neck, trying to choke him. Oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it is a tough one. Initially, you went with Yogg, and now you're second guessing.
I'm like, yeah. I mean, if Bakul were to pick up Yogg too, but Yogg's tentacles, I mean, we don't know how much weight it could lift. Could it pick Bakul off the ground? I'd almost feel like Yogg can have like a choking submission on Bakul.
It is a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Bakul, man, 20 years. Long time. And we did make the sacrifice to bring him here after all. So.
Yeah. So he's prepared to do whatever's necessary.
Could be like the John Wick of the creatures of Eternia.
Yeah. I can't help but look at Yogg and Bakul as a King Kong fight, and I might have to say Bakul.
I'm gonna go with Yogg.
Okay.
Yeah, and based off of how we were talking to, with all those tentacles, I think it would be tough. At the same time, it is like a King Kong fight.
Yeah, it's hard to you can't ignore all those damn tentacles he's got. So it gives him such an edge, but I kind of look at Bakul as having this primal instinct of just, a lot like King Kong.
Yeah. I'll add them here. Start the poll. There you go, chat. Go ahead and vote. We will give that a few minutes, and we'll move on. Which one of these other quarterfinals? It's not semifinals yet. Quarterfinals. Do you want to go with?
We'll go with the Dracodon versus the Spidosaur.
A Dracodon. Ooh. I mean, once again, another close quarters fight.
Yeah, and another King Kong-like fight.
Yeah. Dracodon's pretty big and really strong, though. I think stronger than Bakul. So I'm gonna go Dracodon.
Me too.
Because if you look in the episode, it does quite a bit of damage.
Does a lot of damage. It is very big. The Spidosaur is very big too, but I feel like if the Dracodon, I think, could fight through the tentacles, even though it's got 6 tentacles as well. I almost feel like he could pick the Spidosaur off the ground and slam it down. I got to give the edge to the Dracodon.
All right, and now we have our final quarterfinal before we get results from the chat from the Yogg Bakul fight. Karok versus Shadow Beast. Can't even say like.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Once again, has to be close quarters because you have to get close to the Shadow Beast, and there's no fire or anything involved.
No fire. The Karok, its legs are quite strong as we saw in Betrayal Stratos. But
kind of another King Kong fight when you think.
Yeah, if the Shadow Beast were to manage to get on the back of Karok, man, I think that Shadow Beast just pound the shit out of Karok. But I love the heroics of the Karok. It did take down a dragon. And I feel like Karok is a little bit more intelligent as well. The Shadow Beasts they're just wild animals.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that kind of work in the Shadow Beast's favor, though, when you think about it? Just being like uncontrollable and wild to a degree.
To a degree, I think it's strength and just intense primal rage. Excuse me. I hate to say it, but I think the Shadow Beast would prevail in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
probably. I don't want to see Karok go down, but I'm like, I think logic wise, I think the Shadow Beast would prevail.
I honestly, I agree with you on that. Because you have to get close to the Shadow Beast. Shadow Beast pretty strong.
Yeah.
Pretty fair.
Karok's neck is very thin. If the Shadow Beast were to get a hold of its neck,
yep.
I mean, with both hands, it would definitely probably break Karok's neck.
And in the voting, Yogg moves ahead.
Okay, all right.
So here is our final four. We have Shadow Beast against Yogg, Dracodon versus Sleeping Beast. Which
God, what this is. Oh my God, this is awesome.
Let's go with Dracodon versus Sleeping Beast. I'm gonna put my vote for Dracodon.
Me too. I think because of his size and shape, even though the Sleeping Beast is enormous and it towers over, like you look and scale there how big it is over Shakoti.
Yeah. Dracodon's faster.
The Dracodon would be faster. It could leap. I see it moving. It's like a prehistoric gorilla. I mean, like it's as big as a dinosaur, but I just feel like it could. You know, we just assuming. Yeah, I my instinct goes with the Dracodon.
Dracodon moves on to the final. Let me put the Dracodon. Well, yeah, the way these brackets are set up, I can't.
Yeah.
Picture's a little bit bigger than the brackets themselves. And then Shadow Beast versus Yogg.
Oh, it's no contest there. If Yogg is going to take out Bakul, one Shadow Beast is not taking down Yogg.
Yep. It ain't that is true. So here is our final. We have a Dracodon versus Yogg. I'm going to... so Felmont makes a point. Yogg almost pulled down Castle Grayskull.
Yes, it did.
Dracodon caused quite a bit of damage as well. So here is our final. I'm also, for you guys here in the chat, I will go ahead and start a poll.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what they have to say, and I hope they're enjoying this Kumite as well. I feel like we're burning through this quite quickly.
We're burning through it, but I mean, it's pretty easy to do with two people.
Yeah.
Dracodon and Yogg, both very destructive.
Yes, both ancient creatures as well.
Dracodon, of course, out of all the opponents that Yogg has defeated to get here, I think has the strength to take on all the tentacles.
I have to say Dracodon. Like, I'm not saying it because it's a favorite of mine, because I love all these creatures, but I just I think it could sever some of those tentacles, and I just feel like it could find its way to work around all the tentacles striking at him. And it would be one hell of a fight. It would definitely be a very taxing fight on the Dracodon, but yeah, Yogg did attempt to go after Grayskull, did not succeed, obviously, and is very wild when not subdued by the Song of Salice.
Fedmon saying here, Dracodon only went after the Royal Palace. Grayskull's a lot tougher than that.
It is, but Yogg also didn't really cause any damage to Grayskull. It was stopped, but it didn't quite
Is there any doubt that you think Yogg could take down the Dracodon?
I gotta say Dracodon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Even the chat and the voting has said Dracodon.
Look at that. God bless all of you.
So there we go. There is our winner. Actually,
yeah.
There we go. Put that up. Dracodon, where are you at on here so I can put you ahead of the rest? There we go. Dracodon is your winner.
Yeah.
The Creatures of Eternia Kumite, non-Demons and Dragons edition, where we will come around to Demons and Dragons, which that honestly, that one would probably be way harder than this one.
Oh my God, yes. I started thinking about who we didn't include. I hope that would make like a full like filled out Kumite though.
It would be out of the list that you gave me with the rest of those, it'd be 12, which is fine given how strong everyone is.
Yeah, yeah,
we can make that work.
Yeah, we can make that work. Yeah. Wow, that's
I mean, yeah, sure, but
with magic, he got beat with magic.
Yeah, we can't factor that into the thing. It's these creatures fighting.
And he was sent away to his own time. Like, he was brought back by science and sent back, by magic. Yeah. We're based it all on their primal animal instincts.
For the most part.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Like I said, we had all these other creatures thrown in the mix, like Morningstar, Greylock, Locust, Shadowwing, Granomir, all these, I even had Karg, Azrog's dragon at one point is like a possibility, but I said no dragons, and no one that can
Kraken. You had a Kraken.
They had the Kraken in there, which we could have threw that in there too. Dracodon would still beat the hell out of the Kraken though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think so. I mean, the Kraken's got a chicken beak and looks silly. So James loves that episode it's in too. James got a lot of handicaps. He likes the island.
Oh yeah, we gotta bring that up every time.
Why, James? Why do you like that? Everyone hates that episode.
I think his explanation was that it was different and it explored different themes and characters. I can't remember the reasoning he gave behind it, but I was like, you know what? Eventually, I'll rewatch it, James, just for you.
I just remember when it came out, it was unanimously hated by everybody. Like,
I mean, it's pretty awful.
Yeah, it was pretty lousy and just it didn't help too. It came after a really good episode too in that second season. I'm trying to remember what episode it aired after, but it was like, oh my God, like the bar was set really high, and then you play the episode next, or the island, and it's just, oh man, this is not good. Ugh. Yeah, I just don't find myself going back and rewatching MYP hardly at all. It has its moments, some good stuff in it, but it just doesn't. It just lacks the quality of telling. The fights are fun in it, but they rely too much on everyone jumping around like crickets. Where everyone has intense agility. I know they were trying to play up the whole anime aspect of it, but it just feels like
it's a product of its time.
It is, because that's what they were trying to.
Yeah, we've said that before.
Yeah,
just trying to capitalize on the ever-growing anime influence, cartoon-wise, in America. I don't see a problem with it. Like, I don't mind MYP at all.
But
I get what you're saying. It's not something that you personally find yourself wanting to go back and
no, it's got a lot of good merits, as I've talked with James and Tom, probably about some thoughts on it. Like, I love the upgrade of Roboto, how Count Marzo looked. Too Bad was by far the best. I love Cyclone's portrayal. Skeletor's look and portrayal was great. All the evil warriors portrayed very well. I love Trapjaw's portrayal. Mossman was awesome. I feel like they made him a little too overpowerful.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, you don't want, that's something I felt like they did a lot, is they made everybody almost as strong as everybody else. Like, it just wasn't a whole lot of weaknesses, or, everyone just kind of gets, it just like, there's no there's power rankings. I think of like Marvel trading cards when you would look on the back of Marvel Universe trading cards, and they would give you the rankings of like their strength, their intelligence, their agility, and things like that, and they would be measured like from like 1 to 7.
Yeah.
You know, and like I feel like everybody in MYP was ranked up there. Like, well, they're all ranked 7. You know, just all these silly things everyone can do. And I didn't like Fister's portrayal. I didn't like the idea of making him Tila's mother. Like, this is just such lazy storytelling. It was just awful and just it didn't serve any purpose. I like the idea of Tila's father being someone that Man at Arms probably was a good friend with him, respected. And that's why when he passed away, the sorceress realizes, like, I can't take care of her because of my duty. Duncan has been a great friend to our family, to my husband. And you know what? I would like to ask him if he would raise my daughter while I take on my duties at Grayskull. Like, it's just one of those things. In that passing line of dialogue in Tila's quest, like, your father was one of the greatest men I ever knew. He gave his life in battle to save Eternia. Like, that's all you need to know about that character. Like, to say, oh, it's Fisto because he's got red hair and they're brothers and they're disgruntled and Fisto's a drunk and like, oh god, and that lousy voice too. Oh. Just bad. It just sucked. I liked the look of Fisto, like in the NYP look, but I didn't like his portrayal. It was just lazy, just bad. And Man at Arms was very irritating. And Tila was too. Like they always hit something up their ass. You know, like not in a fun way. You know, even though Man at Arms and Tila got, you know, Man at Arms and Tila both had something up their ass in Filmation too a lot, but they had their moments where, you know what, they're really good people.
Right.
But man, NYP, they're just not likable at all. Like they just make Tila just constantly just like I'm not going to get but just they're both, you know, I feel like their personalities need to have that, like they take things seriously. Tila obviously would because she grew up on, you know, raised by Man at Arms. But I feel like she lacks a lot of likability a lot of times, you know, whereas Man at Arms realizes, you know, you need to be more. I just feel like he's with his experience, he's you know, being so much more like a tutor to Adam as he's growing up, you know, and once he takes on responsibility as a He-Man, he confides in Man at Arms. I feel like Man at Arms is a lot more wiser. And not so just like, you know, let me just be up your ass just for the sake of it here, you know, just like Tila's just constantly just, I gotta be better than you. And like that could be played as a great personality trait that's a fault. But they never seem to have her kind of progress as a character. And obviously character's not going to do that in Filmation because it's like one-shot stories and things like that. But NYP, it's just like, it would be nice to think that over time, and that's something I would like to do with the character is decide, you know, give her reasons why she's such a hard ass to Adam. And I think we've discussed this way back past episodes and stuff like that too. It's something that I would love to take around, especially when she realizes who Adam is, you know, and it like, I wouldn't begin to fathom like what point in the mythology that she would ever find out. Because then I'd like to see them get together, have a child in secret. Then she goes off to Grayskull. Adam goes off to become King of Eternia and raises Dare on his own, and just see the changes that Tila would go through as someone who was, you know, was very had a chip on her shoulder. Like it wasn't just enough to be captain of the guard. She's like, I'm gonna teach Adam how to be a great warrior. And he's a big coward. And you realize, oh my God, look what this guy's been doing all these years, and I've been giving him shit.
Yeah. Well, I get taking that story element and progressing it that way, but do you think that you run the risk of it? I kind of equate it to TV, where once you get there and you put them together, does it lose a little bit of that luster of wanting? It's like you want them to, but once it gets there, then it kind of plateaus. You see that a lot in TV shows where they do that kind of thing. You kind of run the risk of doing that, right?
I wouldn't do that to them unless it was like, okay, we're going to wrap up this chapter of Adam being He-Man. Like I would want it to get to the point where, you know, before Adam decides to retire and return the power sword, to Grayskull, Tila would find out, and I think Adam would just tell her, and she wouldn't go into oh my God, why didn't you tell me, like we've seen in another incarnation. But I think it would make her mad because she's mad at herself. That she thinks about all these incidents where she couldn't wait to bust Adam's balls about why did you run off? Why couldn't I find you when I needed you here, and this and that, and she's like, oh my God. And Adam never, other than in the episode Into the Abyss when he dismisses her, and I think he had good reason to, but I think that would give her such a great level of growth as a character, just realizing like this guy that she clearly has a thing for both men. There's moments where you see her get quite jealous. In Song of Solace, like the minute Adam approaches her and shows a bit of an interest, like she is just like, it's another redhead, and she's like, oh, I ain't having this. She clearly likes Adam and she loves He-Man.
Yeah,
that's why I feel like you'd have so much fun writing that character of growing and becoming what her mother is.
right.
That she can become an unprecedented warrior that becomes the sorceress would give her a lot of positive traits of like defending Grayskull, but also learning to be more caring. She cares for Orko. She's not there to, demean him like Man-at-Arms does a lot. But I think it would really be such an emotional awakening for that character to have gone through all these battles, and then Adam willingly tells her, it's like, and that way when that chapter ends, when they think they vanquished Skeletor, he goes on and becomes king. Tila goes and becomes the sorceress. Then you got their son born, raised only by Adam, not having a mother all his life, and they wouldn't find out who his mother is until he comes of age to become hero.
The successor. Yeah.
The successor. Then you got all this time Tila wanting to be a mother, can't, wants to be closer to Adam, can't. All that time she could have, wishing that, what, I wish I had been nicer to you. I wish we could have made things better a lot earlier, like discovering this love that she's got for this guy is at a point where, we really can't do anything about it now. You have to sit in isolation in this castle.
You don't know what you got till it's gone.
Oh God.
No, in that regard, in the way that you have that laid out, yeah, that can work. I think you just have to kind of traverse through not falling into a lot of those tropes that you get with once you get there, not making it seem boring.
Well, and that's what makes it interesting, is because they couldn't be together.
Yeah.
Like they realized that they had to go their separate ways because of the duties that have been, brought to them. But to kind of like make that bond, like, what, he'll always love Tila, she'll always love Adam. They have a child together, and only a select few, I would say Orko, probably Man-at-Arms, and maybe even Marlena would be aware of who Dare's real mother is.
Right.
And I could see Adam just saying, no, I adopted him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to that way, people aren't asking, who's your mother, Dare, and stuff like that. And I just feel like there's so much fun to be, but Tila's character alone would give her this big arc of just having nothing but time to reflect on wishing that she had really been more forthcoming about her emotions towards Adam.
Now, do you in any way try to figure out a way to resolve that at all, or does it just strictly just stay like that? And
I think
is there a resolution to that you want? Like, if you're looking at this from, I don't know, however many episodes of this that you would want to do, or if it's like some sort of 2-part movie or whatever, does it finish off in a happy ending kind of way, or does it have that bittersweet of this is how this is going to remain, and that time that you could have had more of is gone, and now you're stuck here in this position?
I'd like to, because in my mind I also had thoughts of like, Tila being a bit bitter towards Adam that he doesn't come to visit because of his duties as king.
Right.
So Zoar or Tila would show up as Zoar the Falcon to visit, keep an eye on the situation, like show up, see your son running around in the courtyard, playing with other kids or training with Clamp Champ, and just having to watch from afar. And Adam sees Zoar the Falcon and realizes like his mother's here watching and reminding him, hey, I don't go and tell his mother how well he's doing or anything. Like, she has to watch from afar in a form that she cannot interact with her own child.
Yeah, but then does it turn into like melodramatic relationship junk too?
Well, knowing that they realized they couldn't have a relationship because she has to become the sorceress, he's got to become the king. Knowing that's why having Dare was like their way of solidifying that they really care.
I guess, but it's also just kind of. I mean, just the way that you put it there. It's like I'm gonna be king, you're gonna become sorceress. I guess we better fuck make a kid.
It's not like in that sense, but it's just a symbol of it's the symbol of like they really care about each other, but they can't be together because of what they're responsible for. So that's why I feel like there would become this kind of bitterness between the two. I could totally see Tila like, look, I know you got your things you got going on, but I'm here stuck in this castle. I can't leave. All I can do is watch from afar. If you just came to visit from time to time, and Dare wouldn't know until it's time for him to take up that mantle. But much like how Adam.
But where's the action, Tyler? Where's the action?
What do you mean?
We're spending so much time on this relationship and this bitterness and melodramatic stuff. Where's the fighting, Tyler? We need the action. We need action bits every 10 pages.
Okay, well that is just to give depth to Adam and Tila's characters because Dare is the stories based on him.
Right.
So my idea was that he grows up, raised in the royal palace, not too interested in a lot of the royal duties, like showing up for these ceremonies. He finds more interest in hanging out with the peasants and salt of the earth people. Like he's out, in the marketplaces, interacting with people, getting to know the locals and things like that. He's like, you know what? Yeah, these women are hot, but you know what? I don't like being this kind of. And Adam's like, he understands because he understands that one day Dare is going to have to put up this kind of false sense of like I don't really give a shit about this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't care about it either. So he's constantly making excuses for his own son, like he's not here or encourages him to be here for certain things. But understands, you know what? I get it. I'm not interested in this stuff either. I get why you would prefer to be hanging out with people who are not royal snobs or people who are here to make judgments, or they're here because I'm king of this and I'm queen of that. And he's like,
you got to bring cousin Jeremy in here somehow to just be like a piece of shit.
Oh yeah, it's characters like that, and Lady Edwina, from Creatures of the Tar Swamp. These royal relatives that are just complete asses.
Mm-hmm.
And bringing in more of that mentality that Adam puts on with it because he knows they're not good people, but he's trying to look past all that because of what he has to do. I'm thinking like because of what he's been through, Adam gives Dare a lot more lenience and tries to talk to him. Look, son, I understand. I didn't care about this stuff when I was your age either. I wanted to play. I wanted to run around with Cringer. I wanted to, chase girls and things like that. So he gives him a lot of passes about that stuff, but doesn't tell him what's coming or anything like that. But in my eyes is that I thought about having Tila. He's like, look, I'm watching my son grow up from a distance. He has no idea what's in store for him. Adam wants nothing to do with that right now until he becomes of age. Like, I'm not going to tell my son, oh, by the way, when you turn 18, we're going to give you this massive responsibility and you're going to fight all the planet just because it's what you're destined to do.
Does it have to be 18 though?
But that's when Adam and Adora, like when they reached 18, that's I wanted to kind of carry on that mantle.
Yeah.
How long Adam and Adora continue to carry on to be He-Man and She-Ra, don't know. But I always thought having Tila coming to Dare in dreams, showing him visions of what's going to come, and crazy ass nightmares, like showing visions of Skeletor returning, not knowing what Skeletor was, things that he was going to have to face, these challenges, these sacrifices, from a kid, and not knowing what any of them are about. And that's her way of trying to prepare him through visions and nightmares and dreams. Like, I can't just sit here and just watch my son grow up and then, oh, by the way, here you go, son.
So the plan is going to be Skeletor is inevitably going to come back.
Eventually he will come back. All the Fever Warriors are dispersed. They're trying to find their way on the planet, whether they're trying to come up with their own factions, working together, trying to find any means to survive.
This is almost kind of turning into one of those what if episodes, actually, to a degree. I think in one particular way, in one of the ones that you suggested. So yeah, I guess sort of spoiler. It wasn't one of your ideas that actually here. Me make sure that I'm not messing this one up. That you had here. Skeletor went to the future, but no He-Man or vice versa. Kind of playing into the aspect of maybe Skeletor was the one that went and did the Primus New Adventure stuff, and the blending of the Homecoming storyline. It was Skeletor somehow coming back, and now all of a sudden all of these changes are here. And now,
I didn't even think about that. That is kind of an interesting way of tying in a New Adventures storyline with. That's not what I had in mind.
Yeah, just all those what if scenarios that you told us.
That would be an interesting what if scenario, because then we have no New Adventures He-Man.
Yeah.
So we have the Horde and the Snake Man still residing on the planet, but or She-Ra vanquishes, or the Hordes are still stuck on Eternia, and the Snake Men get vanquished. But I would have it, but I did have in the idea though for Dare is that once he comes of age, and Adam tells him, look, I don't know how to explain this to you, but there's a great responsibility that you're going to have to take up here, and doesn't know how to explain it to him because he knows what all he went through.
Right.
And he just tells him, like, Dad, look, I'm not interested in that. I don't like being part of this royal family. It's not for me. I'd rather just kind of go out and just kind of find my way in the world. And Adam knows, like, something's going to happen to him that's going to make him realize, what, I can't run away from whatever this responsibility is. Gives him, kind of a brief synopsis of, like, look, you're going to be taking on responsibility. It's going to help a lot of people, but it's going to require a lot of sacrifice. It's something, I can't explain to you until you're ready to take it on. That, if you run from this, you'll probably realize why you need to take this up. And I set that up is that he leaves in solace. Like, no one knows where he's gone, just Adam and Orko. And so he leaves, journeys a good ways away. And is this good content for us wrapping up this?
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna take questions that we have here and then read off some of the comments and stuff too that we got on previous weeks.
Okay.
After this.
Okay. Well then, so then he befriends this farmer, this elder farmer, helps him out. Like his wagon broke on the road and things like that. So he helps put it back together and follows him back and goes back and sees he's got a wife and his knockout of a daughter. And they headed off and they invited him to stay, and he helps out on the phone. They don't know who he is. He just tells them, like, I'm just kind of traveling. I'm doing my own thing. My father allowed me to kind of seek my way in the world, and he stays there with them, helping out on the farm, and they're aware that him and the daughter have something kind of going on. But nothing that's, they're not going to get married or anything like that. So then, but they clearly had got a genuine relationship going on, and the farmer and his wife they're cool with that. So it's like,
it's fine.
It's fine. They're in there. Just
God.
Well, you're painting those pictures, so why can't I paint them too? But so this is where I kind of want to bring in the fights and the danger here.
All right,
is that the Dare and the father go off to one of the local villages, and they're going to get food and things like that and sell stuff. And Clawful and Jitsu are kind of working together on their own since Skeletor's warriors have been dispersed and starting shit. Trying to bring back their alpha male status, and Dare ends up embarrassing both of them. I haven't quite figured out how, but he manages to make them look like fools in front of the entire village. And they go about their way back home. Clawful and Jitsu follow them back. And they end up destroying the farm, killing the father, the mother, and the daughter.
That's when he realizes, like, I need to step up.
And so he chases off after one of them. While one of them stays behind and finishes them off, just destroys the farm. He wakes up. He got the shit knocked out by Clawful Jiu-Jitsu. I'm not sure which one is. He wakes up, comes back, and finds them all dead. And I did have this idea too that she, before he, at one point made like this kind of handmade necklace for him that meant a lot for him. Kind of in the shape of an H.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. That he's been a hero to the family. Kind of
I know. It's Easter eggy kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just kind of thought like that's what she's like. You've done so much for my parents. You've been so much help to the farm, and you've been such a good man to me. Like you're a hero to this family and to me. And it, like I said, it's just a little handmade necklace. And he goes back and takes the necklace and puts it on and buries the family. And he's just the smoke's still emitting from being torn and burned and everything. And he gets up and just looks back, and behind him is Adam, Orko, and Zor the Falcon. And he just looks at him and says, "I'm ready." And then you have him go off to Grayskull.
Montage.
Yeah. Well, not a montage, but he hugs Adam and just tells him, "Yeah, whatever what is, I'm destined to be, or got to take on. Like I'm ready for it."
Okay.
So that's just kind of like like he had to lose something special to realize, like, what, if I had taken up this responsibility, people like this wouldn't have.
You could actually, that would be a pretty good episode 1 to a series leading into that. So yeah, I'm ready. Credits.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I even had the music picked out and everything. Like the music kicks in, Zoar flies towards in the direction where Grayskull's at. Adam and Orko are consoling him, and just as they walk away from the burned farm, and then we cut there, and he would pick back up where he's at Grayskull meeting his mother for the first time.
At this point, is Cringer still kicking or no?
He wouldn't be the Steed. He would not be.
Yeah, it would. You're looking at like senior cat here.
I never quite thought if Cringer would still be around.
I mean, it's.
I like to feel like there have been some changes, like some people have passed away and things.
Obviously, like yeah, it would have to. Like,
yeah, but I feel like
it
would be about.
18 years have passed, so
yeah. Mention the time span of He-Man being He-Man with Battle Cat.
True. Yeah. So yeah, Cringer done.
Yeah, I'd say probably would be no longer with us, to kind of give Adam like more sense of loss, like his closest ally is no longer with us. Part of me really wanted to kind of bring in Stridor, even though Stridor was Fisto's Steed and He-Man's, but I almost feel like giving him. I had this crazy idea. It may sound silly as shit, but I had thought that he befriends a horse on that farm, and the horse is killed, but its spirit is absorbed into a retired Stridor, and that he realizes what it is when he holds an apple out to it, and it stomps its hoof 3 times to acknowledge the fact that
no, I don't think that's like slightly corny, but I think corny in a good way, where if the right people caught on to what was happening here, it would make them kind of emotional to a degree. Yeah.
To show them, like, you may have lost like an animal that you really became close with and befriended,
Yeah.
But the sorceress ensured that its soul made its way into what's going to become a very dependable, loyal ally for you in the future.
Yeah.
You know, that was just kind of my, because I just love Stridor. Stridor was not used that much,
Right.
in general.
Yeah.
And I like to think by this point it was retired. Fister no longer used it. It's just kind of there. And I thought giving it the soul of a lost horse that Dare would befriend on this farm, like, is like, they didn't die, we preserved it.
I'll show Emily this part. She'll love it.
Okay. But that was not planned. I did not plan to talk about that. And hopefully I didn't.
No, I do just keep coming up with more. We could do like little story time segments or something where you're just like, hey, I thought about this, and we just toss it out there into the ether and do that. Yeah.
That's why I feel like there's a lot of fun to be had with that character and the dynamics of Adam and Tila with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had with just the property in general. Like that's the beauty of any of this stuff, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously fan fiction exists, but it's cool that you sit and you daydream about this stuff, and then, like, sometimes you write it down and sometimes you just really commit it to memory. And
a lot of that what I just shared with you is something I've had in my mind for years, and I'm just like,
I just got to get it out.
Yeah, I just, like, I played music to it to, like, really amp up the emotional beats.
You'll have to after we're done with the show, you'll have to send me the link to the song, and maybe I can just put it in the description.
I could tell you, like, and it's oh my god, yeah, there's one that I'm like, fuck.
Well, go ahead and tell people the title of the song now that you
the music that I used for when Dare comes back and sees that the family's killed, his lost love has been killed, is Mutant and Proud from X-Men First Class.
Okay.
And him burying the family, and as it builds and builds, that's when he looks and sees Adam, Zoar, and Orko, and just nods.
It says he's ready.
Says I'm ready. And then Zoar flies off, and he walks with Adam and Orko, and it's for me it.
We'll listen to that after the show, but it's out there, so you guys can YouTube.
That was say is what I call temp music, what they use in the movie business. Like, you don't have an official soundtrack, so you know what, you use this to help kind of convey what you're going for with that story.
Yeah, it could. I mean, I don't want to clap or loud, but, like, as always, man, like, it's good stuff. It's good shit.
No, I appreciate that, dude.
Here we go. We got a couple of questions. We got actually two from Ryan. Did either of you bid on or buy any of the art in the Mark Taylor auction this week?
I wasn't aware there was one going on, but I probably would have missed out on all of it just because I'm watching money right now, and there seems to be always an overabundance of people who've got a ridiculous amount of money for these things, and I'm like, man, why can't I own any of these?
Yeah, and I imagine too, it all probably went for stupid amounts of money.
Yeah, probably some goof who's just collecting stuff so he can brag about it, and couldn't tell you, I don't know, Skeletor from Scareglow.
Let's see. And then the other question from Ryan: did either of you back Fall of Grayskull 2? No, neither of us backed it, but congratulations to that crew that they got it funded, and they're going to go and make the movie and make it happen. So congrats to them. Febmon, this was in regards to when you were talking about your story, just how about Castle Grayskull becomes the seat of power in the place of the royal palace, so Adam and Tila can be king and queen there?
No. They're two separate entities. The royal palace is a separate duty, and Grayskull is a separate thing as well. And I think the more people are unaware of what its purpose is and its connection to Adam, like, no, I feel like it just welcomes more and more people trying to attack it. It's no different than having King He-Man. Like,
that's true.
Come up with a more idiotic idea. So no, it just doesn't work for me. You need to have it's Castle Grayskull kept secret. It's sorceress having you don't need to know the connection, or the people of Eternia, the villains who come from all over do not need to know that Adam is living, that the King of Eternia is living in Grayskull because they're together. Like all you're doing is putting it even more constant threat.
Yeah, you got to. The secret identity needs to stay secret.
Yeah, that's plays up a lot more of the why it's so difficult for Adam and Tila to be together. Like they have to maintain these private lives because they just it's for the keeping Grayskull secret, keeping if someone were finding out that Tila and Adam were together at one point and that they're the parents of this child, they'd be ransacking the palace left and right, just trying to force the sorcerer's hand.
Well, it turns out, Tyler, that some little kid saw Adam and Tila fucking from a window
and shoved him out the window.
Shoved him out the window.
Yeah. It's like, hey, at least I'm not brother and sister fucking.
Man, they really dropped the ball on Game of Thrones.
Oh, tell me about it.
Comments on the Beyond the Vine Jungle episode that we did a couple weeks back. We have which we replied to these, but I'll read them on here. We have Michael saying having what was the name we're going with? Jygor, right?
Jygor,
yeah. Having Jygor as the leader of the former enslaved gladiators is brilliant because that got me thinking of the historical figure of Spartacus, who did the same thing, which both of you and I were like, oh yeah, I didn't think about. And it kind of actually made me want to go watch Spartacus.
Yeah, I watched it or tried watching it years back, and I enjoyed it up to a certain point, and then I think I just kind of got bored with it for whatever reason. So it's due for rewatch too.
Yeah. Went on to say, now while I'm typing this, I'm thinking of the ads. They would have shown the jungle playset in all of its playable glory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But pretty, especially the commercials up in is the latter half of Master Universe was being advertised. Like the commercials got even more badass. Like all these cool battlegrounds and smoke effects and things like that. I think they really would have built up the jungle playset as being this it's not as big as Eternia, people, but you know what? It's pretty awesome.
And also, Michael got the film quote of Ghostbusters 2. So congrats on that, because I'm dumb and didn't get it. Rebecca chimed in and said, wow, did not see that coming. This fantastic story, Tyler. Badass. The ending gave me chills. You can tell you were inspired by Marvel Conan, but at the same time, you captured the heart of He-Man perfectly.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that was much appreciated. And that's exactly what I was going for.
And then, of course, we discussed this before. We got the typical, hey, why'd you change the name of the channel? What happened to Fans of Power? And we already discussed that. Don't want to beat this dead horse every week. It was just time. Something that we needed to do. Honestly, probably more for me, more than all of it together. But Johnny Cock. I love these Friday episodes with an overall happy Tyler going over shit he loves.
Believe me, I had to take a much needed break. And it served me well because now I'm firing all cylinders, man.
He's like, hey, the story I've had in my brain for 15 years. Here you go.
Yeah, I mean, amongst all this stuff too, our next one too was just we won't say what it is, but I'm I just sat down one night.
We can go ahead and spoil it for.
All right, well, what's coming up in a few days ahead of schedule, just because I got to go out of town.
Yeah,
we're going to be doing a character discussion on Shakoti Mask.
Yeah,
and we've discussed those characters a lot, done commentaries, I think twice on House of Shakoti Part 1 and 2. But this is breaking down what not what they say in a classic bio here, people.
All right, but we're gonna read the classic bios
and have a good laugh.
Yeah, so everyone needs to see what we have there in an official capacity. There is no this to it. It's official.
Yeah, which I have no memory of what's in it at all, other than His Majesty called Shakoti Agar because she's got blue skin. Wow, that's original.
Well, we'll get to that in a couple days.
Yeah.
But, Tyler, any recommendations for anyone listening to us this week, and anything that they should go seek out? I have one thing in particular, actually a couple things, but if you got anything, go ahead and toss that.
In terms of new stuff, no, but I was trying to think of anything in particular because I feel like I've recommended every that I love under the sun, but
I mean this can go beyond Master Universe, just anything in general.
Yeah, I right now, because all I've kind of done lately is just watched a lot of He-Man cartoons, Thundercats, and I've been rewatching Roseanne. just because I like that
Roseanne,
show.
huh?
Yeah, I just like it's been a
Was
long time since I've watched that show, and like I just a very comforting, enjoyable show of a blue collar family. You know,
was there any interest in that Roseanne revival that became the Connors at all? Or?
I didn't have cable. I still
Okay.
don't. So
I
when it
think
came on,
it's where is it on? It might be on Netflix. I think I'll look it up.
yeah, I'm not sure. But when I heard Roseanne got into some trouble and they pulled her from the show, I just kind of
It's on Netflix. So
okay.
if you felt so
Which I
inclined,
heard good stuff about it. You know, everybody pretty much came back, but yeah, I don't have I haven't had cable for years, so I just rely on streaming and
I haven't either.
hard copies.
That what is it? Killer of Killers, Predator, that animated deal that I showed you the trailer of a few weeks back. That came out, so that's on that's on Hulu now, and some of the people I follow on Letterboxd gave it pretty good. They enjoyed it a lot, so I might try to watch that this weekend. One recommendation I have, Tyler, you're going to agree with this: Pee-wee as Himself, the documentary.
Oh God, yes.
The documentary of Paul Rubens on Max. Honestly, I enjoyed the first part more than the second because I really liked how we got to Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
But the ending of that is soul crushing.
Yeah, very much so. And
so that is a very good documentary. Any video game people out there, if I'm aware of it, but I didn't start playing any of these games until this week. The Ease series, which if you look at it, it's just YS. So some people are like Ys, but it's called Ease. It's action RPG. I played Ease Origin. It's on sale right now for $5 on PlayStation Network. So if you want to check that out, it's very enjoyable. I'm probably going to buy Ease 8 and 9 because those are on sale, and those are like the newer 3D-ish games because I really enjoyed that stuff. Actually, we do have a couple more comments and questions.
All right, let me use the restroom real quick because if we're gonna be a little, I would like to be perfectly.
All right. Well, while you do that, I will answer this one from Johnny. Okay. I finally discovered It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so I have that playing in the background a lot lately. I've watched a decent chunk of that, and that show's great. I would also recommend, though it's probably not for everybody. I guess it sort of depends on the humor that you have, but Tires on Netflix. That's pretty good balance of funny and vulgar. It's got Shane Gillis in it, so if you're kind of not a big fan of him, that might be a turnoff to you. But I think it's just fun and quirky. Ryan, your question here, I'll cue that up for you when Tyler comes back in. Fedmon, Alien Earth is a new TV series. Yeah, that's coming out on Hulu soon-ish, right? I think. Predator getting a TV series also. So the thing that it's the Killer of Killers, I think is the title of it. Let me look it up again real quick. Predator Killer of Killers. So it's an animated movie. It's 90 minutes, but it has 3 different segments. One's a Viking story, one's a samurai ninja story, and the other one is about a World War II pilot, at least from what I gathered from the trailer. So it's just going to be Predator in different eras, which is awesome to see that. So yeah, I'm probably going to check that out this weekend, and I'll get back to you, Tyler, about that. But Ryan, what does Tyler think of the Conan statue under the pre-order from PCS? I think is that the.
I'm not aware of this, so this is news to me.
I think isn't it that. Thought it was that one that's based off of the movie poster.
Oh, okay. Well, I have seen that. If it says if that's what I think it is, which was a work of art.
No, that one's from Mezco. That statue is. So I don't. Let's see. I'll look it up. Conan PCS statue. Is this it? Oh, mature content on there. I'll send you the link to this. I think this is what Ryan is talking about.
Okay.
I don't know how sensitive this will be if I show it live. I wouldn't think it would be a problem, but hey, you never know.
Let's see here.
I think it looks really cool. It's got swap out heads. Oh wait, there's a deluxe edition where he's. Oh boy, let me send you the deluxe edition of this.
Oh wow.
The deluxe edition's actually like way cooler.
All right, let me look at that one then.
That's pretty badass. But I mean, is it?
Oh yeah.
Is it almost $1,300 badass? Yeah, there we go. Ryan saying the one with the girl on his shoulder. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. I don't think I can show that one on air, but
well, yeah, that's
awesome though.
This is badass. I mean, that is John Buscema, Conan, Savage. That is Savage Sword of Conan. That all this statue looks like just pulled from an image from Savage Sword of Conan. Like this is the girl's a knockout. Conan looks, is about as alpha as you could possibly make him.
It could be yours for $1,300.
I mean, hey, I wish I had that kind of extra money to just put down on that.
Get a credit card.
No, I'm not going into debt.
No, you just pay it off over time. If you get a credit card, Tyler, and you just buy that and you just pay on that, then you're fine. As long as you don't use that and spend more money on other stuff, you're golden. You can probably get it set up with an introductory rate where you only have to pay like $25 a month on the card. So you could pay way more than that, get it paid off faster. You establish more credit, get better credit. See, look, I think you should do it. Just apply.
It would be really awesome to have this. It really, really would.
I mean, hey, Christmas is coming up in 6 months. If anyone
then buy it for me.
I'm not gonna buy it. I was gonna suggest the chat could be kind enough to just buy it and send it to you.
I ain't gonna be no bum. No, I thought you were a true fan, Nathan. No. Thanks for sharing that. No, that's
no, that was really awesome to see.
That's unbelievable, man. I love me classic Conan. I haven't read any of the current stuff. I just like to read all this stuff that Roy Thomas wrote back in the 70s and the 80s, and I like and John Buscema's beautiful artwork in the comics and Savage Sword. That's just what I stick to, and that's what that looks like. Just pure John Buscema Conan. Like that's Conan to me, and. Yeah. And that's what you see Conan doing there, like taking out villains and saving hot girls. Like that's what I want to see He-Man doing. Oh, I want to see more images of He-Man and the heroic warriors, like saving hot women from assholes and villains and monsters and stuff like that. It just goes hand in hand. Like why not see Clan Champs taking out some beast and saving some hot girl, or He-Man saving this beautiful princess.
I'm kind of surprised that they haven't at least tried to dip their toes in that aspect and go that route, because I mean, we talked about it plenty of times that the main demographic for this property is adults in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
So I get the innocence of wanting to keep it the same, but also it's like maybe take a chance and do something. If it's just a graphic novel, you don't have to make it an animated.
Well, not even so much that, but it's just like it's because I feel like very rarely. I mean, and you would see it in Filmation, women are in danger, or something like that. And it's just one of those classic tropes. Like, yes, I know I'm all about women being just as badasses too. That's why we praise the hell out of She-Ra and characters like Red Sonja and things like that. But seeing He-Man, taking on like 4 Shadow Beasts, when some like really hot farm girl, and her pet, or animal, whatever, and her family or whatever, like He-Man comes to the rescue, takes them all out, and it's a hero saving the day, and like images like that. I'm sorry, I just love seeing superheroes doing that, as along with my favorite mythical characters as well. So Conan did it. You look, damn near every Conan comic book has got Conan coming to the aid of some girl, even if she's not even in the comic. It's still Conan is coming to the aid or saving a beautiful woman from a monster or a giant or a bunch of savages or something like that. It's like why I like to see He-Man doing that. Earl Norman did all those amazing Conan paintings. So did Joe Jusko, and Earl did a ton, as we all know, a ton of beautiful He-Man paintings. Like seeing He-Man rescuing Lady Amanda, which was just a passing character in Dragon's Gift. Like, what does Lady Amanda look like? I have an idea what she looks like. I've had her illustrated. But if anyone's wondering, picture Jane Seymour in Golden Boy in a Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. That's how I picture Lady Mad looking. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just felt like that'd be that's what I like to have Kevin illustrate is like He-Man saving hot girls. Like I have like that Beanstalk of Evil he did for me. I have like this random beautiful girl like ensnared in the vines of the Beanstalk of Evil. Like who is she? Don't know, but she's there. She's trapped in the Beanstalk, and He-Man and Mossman and Buzz-Off got to save her before Evil Seed kills everybody. It's just there.
Yeah, it's something they should think about at least.
I
appeal a little more to your adult fan base beyond just rehashes of vintage toys. Like,
that's what I feel like.
Step outside the box just a little bit.
Yeah, and unfortunately they're still not picking anybody who seems to have a good idea of what makes a good He-Man story. Just because I found out not too long ago, Dark Horse has greenlit another He-Man miniseries.
Oh boy, what are they crossing over with this time?
I don't think it's a crossover. I think it's just more dumbass ideas. I was like. Just like when I saw what was involved, like, you know what? I hope you got paid well and you enjoy doing it. But I really wish that they would play up this. And when we say, and we have said this before, we'll say it again. Well, when me and Nathan mean like a more mature, we don't mean He-Man hacking heads off and bedding 4 women at the same time.
Yeah, we don't need to go that far.
No, it's just, He-Man's punching people. Like if he lays a fist in a clawful chop, like a tooth comes out. Or something like that, a bloody nose, or Clawful slashes it against He-Man's stomach, and cuts him up, and Jitsu's on the verge like trying to break his neck, and it misses it or whatever, or people get wounded, they get hurt, and you see a little bit of blood, but you use the cannon fodder, like the various beasts the Beastman controls being taken out, the robot knights, horde troopers. But the Horsemen, the Snake Men, the Evil Warriors, like they're all gonna, dish out punches and kicks, and the various powers they got are gonna inflict pain on others. It's not just I don't know. I just felt like that you could add a lot more malice to these characters, and not just be internet jokes and memes and all this other garbage. It just seems to be, He-Man's not as popular anymore unless it's just a current toy you can buy and it's a meme. Yeah. I want to see, edginess and rawness, but also like maintaining that legitimate heart of like what makes He-Man such a special character.
Don't make it too dark. I mean, like you find a good balance. You find a balance.
No, and I mean, hell, we saw years ago when DC did their first of many bad ideas and just, we're just gonna have everyone killed, and Skeletor's like, I'm gonna leave Prince Adam alive so he can become He-Man again. Why? It was just dumbass logic, and then kills us. Just.
Well, but before Tyler goes to that tangent,
that stuff like that's not storytelling. That's just people. Some idiot who just thought, what, I'm going to be edgy with this. Like, you don't know what edgy is, and you sure as I don't know what Master of the Universe is.
Well, before we lose what Johnny was alluding to earlier when he was.
And I will say too, like with
Happy Tyler, we got to maintain the Happy Tyler.
Yeah, and I don't like going on. I don't want to rant about people I've done before in the past. I don't want to sit there and focus on like, if something new's coming out, I hope you enjoy it. I'm not interested in it. I'll leave it at that. I really don't care about any of the new toys, the new comics. God forbid if another cartoon gets screwed up. Like, you know what? Enjoy it. Have fun with it. In my mind, I know what I need to see to make me happy with a He-Man comic book or TV series or a live action movie. Anything coming down the pipeline, I'm not going to be giving a shot because I know exactly what it's going to be, and that's stuff that I just want nothing to do with.
Yeah, so. I mean, I concur with that, but unlike Tyler, I'm willing to at least consume it. Just, but yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I've done it.
Should I have done that? Maybe not, but whatever. But
Nathan can take it and laugh at, whereas me, I'm just like I'm just.
Yeah. The important thing here, we can't stress this enough. I hope all of you listened to this part and you didn't tune the rest of that out. If you're looking forward to the movie that they're currently filming and you're excited about that, hell yeah, good for you. We are excited that you are excited. But we don't have to like it too.
No,
Just,
well, I'm going to like it. I'm not even going to acknowledge its existence. I'll just leave it at that. But
I'll watch it.
But I'm like,
Oh,
in all fairness, like anything coming out that people are all about, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I don't like, and you couldn't pay me to watch it, but I don't want this what me and Nathan are doing to just where it just turns into just ranting and raving,
yeah,
about people and this and that. It like this needs to be fun, and I want it to always be fun. I want
yeah.
He-Man and She-Ra to be the star of this podcast, nothing else. Like
Yeah.
constant promoting why it's so good and why I will go to my grave. Like this is the best product that's ever come to pass to fruition. Like it needs to stay that way, and that's the mission statement for me and Nathan doing this. Like that's the star of the show. We're here to celebrate that, nothing else.
I mean, we're gonna celebrate other things too, but
Oh yeah, we got
when we get to that point, we'll make that
yeah.
aspect of it make
Yeah.
sense. But Tyler, we will go ahead and wrap this up. And thanks to all of you that joined us live, and thank you for helping push some of those characters forward in the Kumite. We hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure you like this episode, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Leave a comment down below and let us know how wrong we were about this entire Kumite and who should have prevailed. There were some things other than the chat. It's like that wouldn't have happened. But hey, leave a comment down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And until later, let the power return.
Should you be drinking that when you don't have a liver? What?
Is that basketball?
No.
Oh. I don't know why that came to mind. I think I'm just thinking of the hospital scene.
No, but this is a movie you absolutely treasure too.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tyler's going to make me look more like an idiot on the show.
Here's another one. I ate some good duck last night. Do I know you?
Yeah, 10 things I hate about you. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
That response Heath gives, what's his name? He's like, should you be drinking that when you don't have a what?
Yeah. Yeah, just how he's like staring at him and like playing with the flame.
Yeah.
And then he stabs the frog.
Yeah. Heath, God, it's such a great cast, and Heath Ledger's that's you know what, I'm gonna say that's my favorite Heath Ledger movie, just because the Joker's a masterpiece, but I hate the rest of the movie. But he's so much fun, and it's a fun movie. They don't make teenage movies like that anymore.
I think I'd put Knight's Tale up there a little bit too.
Knight's Tale was a lot of fun.
That's a fun movie.
Yeah. But 10 Things I Hate About You, man, I that's just a movie that's just very quotable.
Who knocked up your sister?
Yeah.
Those Dawson's Rivers
kids sleeping in his beds. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that movie's just so many great random little moments in it. You know, I was joking with the lunch lady. It was a bratwurst. I'll be the optimist. Anyway,
and then when fucking Joey Donner holds up the two pictures.
Oh yeah, which one do you like? Which one looks better?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
shit, Bianca, I have a nose spray ad tomorrow.
That's Joey Donner. He's a jerk off. Oh God! I just think of like high school in that movie too. Just having the best time watching that movie back then.
Yeah. And even at the end when Kat is reading her poem and she's getting all emotional about it, I'm like, yeah, that still kind of hits in a way.
Yeah, because it shows like I mean, yeah, he got to her. She fell for him, and it makes him feel like, yeah, I was a real. Even though we clearly learn as he's going along, he's starting to fall for her too. Until Joey Donner, the jerk off, like lets it out of the bag, and she go up and cheese dick.
What's the part 2 where he's just Joey does like the little dance moves? Oh yeah, Kat. When she's dancing to Hypnotized by Notorious B.I.G. on the table.
Oh yeah.
She's had too much to drink.
Yeah, and bumps her head. And yeah. It's oh my God. It's such a fun.
Now I'm gonna have to rewatch it, dude. Like
I like when the I guess the English teacher, like Heath shows up. What did I miss? And she tells him what he missed. Like, okay, and just
leaves.
Yeah, and he's
pipe down, Chachi.
Yeah. You just messing with me, aren't you? No, I'm really looking forward to this time. Get out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. God, what's his name? He played Charlie on Empty Nest, playing the gym coach, and He's like, you've got
get shot in the get shot in the ass with the arrow.
Yeah. Oh, I love him
during archery.
Yeah, during the archery practice, and he's like, I'm confiscating this too, and just grabs a little bag of Cheetos.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh God, yeah, what a wonderful.
We're screwed. Can you show a little more optimism? We're screwed.
All right, there you go. It's like, where'd you kiss her? In the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got so many great reactions in that.
His facial expressions are really good in that movie.
Yeah,
and then of course most of the girls swoon when he does a little dance number. He takes over the PA system.
Yeah, which is it's a cool moment. Like, who wouldn't have loved to have done something like that in high school?
And you got those fat ass security guards trying to and they're stumbling over themselves. Yeah, Pruitt chasing after him.
Yeah, a couple of Pruitt chasing Heath Ledger all over the place. I remember one of those. I think it was the police officer we had on duty, not the Cougar security, but
Officer Cox. He had he looked like Jeff Foxworthy.
No, not him.
No, okay.
No, this was kind of a dumpy guy because he broke up a fight. And you went, all right, Bob Brady, you got one.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For those of you that are wondering, Officer Bar Brady was from South Park.
Yeah. Yeah. Nathan was quite loud back in high school. So.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Yelling all the time.
Yeah. And it was funny as hell as long as you weren't on the receiving end of it.
I was actually talking to James about that earlier today, about the pecking order of your friend circle in high school.
I came out at the bottom of the totem pole.
For a while,
Yeah.
And then, you easily ascended your Johns and Jordans of the friend group.
Well, I don't think some of those were too hard.
No, they weren't at all.
No, but I think it was 11th grade, or maybe heading into 12th grade is like when we really became like really best friends. Yeah. And it was cool to be, especially knowing like I started out as just like someone I just talked wrestling with you a little bit in English class, and then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah.
After like talking basketball with you in 10th grade when I thought you were an asshole.
Yeah. Why is this guy doing that?
I think he's so tough.
He's stupid.
Yeah, look at this blowhard, him in his Gazoo shirt.
Hey man, I like your jersey. Oh shit, he likes basketball.
He's really cool. He's all right. That's amazing. All it ever takes is like someone to compliment, say something nice, like he's all right. I don't even watching you.
Yeah. Hey man, I'm gonna borrow Clerks on VHS. Let me know what you think.
God, I miss those early days of like trying to get you to watch Mallrats and Clerks and Vampires and the Batman 60s movie. And
I mean, there wasn't any trying. Like, you brought them
over.
No, it wasn't. We watched them on that compact computer, baby. Because that was the only DVD drive I had.
Yeah, and it was, and you were willing to watch everything. Like I didn't throw it. There wasn't nothing I threw at you that you weren't willing to like. All right, I'll give it a shot.
That hasn't changed. So all of you out there, it's like, oh, will you watch this? Like, yeah, why not? I'll sit down, even if I know going into it that it's probably not. I'm not gonna like it. Like, I'll at least watch it and give it a shot and be like, yeah, you know what, that fucking sucked.
Yeah, which he has been quite blunt. But he's also
somewhere in time.
And I think Nathan should be lobotomized over that one. But
that movie sucks.
I mean, I talked to my buddy Tamani at work. He's like, he didn't like it. I said, no, he didn't like it at all.
Well, all right. Well, what was their reasoning for?
Oh man, he was like me. He's like, it was a wonderful, like, tragic love story. He's like, he was just so beautifully done and everything. And oh God, man, you just don't get it.
I got it. It was terrible.
God. Now I will say, in terms of talking movies, like, Tamani's probably the Lex Luthor to my Superman in terms of he knows obscure movies, independent movies, mainstream movies, but he also botches his knowledge, and I like to correct him on it a lot, and he gets pissed off about that.
Like what? What was the latest thing that he botched?
Well, he would just like get John McTiernan and Martin Campbell confused for whatever reason, or Joe Dante and Joe Johnston confused, and I said, no, Joe Dante directed Gremlins, not Joe Johnston. He directed.
Joe Johnston did Rocketeer,
yeah,
and Captain America, First Soldier.
See, things like that. He's like, all right, tell it fuck you, I hate you, and he gave me the finger, and then we start arguing like a baseball coach and an umpire, and then he starts laughing and I start laughing, and it's the same, collision course, but we had the best time arguing over movies. So
I need to meet this guy and be like, well, you don't know the difference between Joe Dante and Joe Johnson. Come on, man.
I mean, he looked at me like, he's got one of the most infectious laughs too. Like, you can hear him laughing too. Like, he's just, but he's a big movie nut. You get along with him wonderfully, dude. Like, yeah, I think you'd love him to death, man. So
is he one of those dudes? He like Honora didn't deserve Best Picture this year?
What now?
That he would be like Honora didn't deserve Best Picture this year.
I thought you said North.
I thought I was talking about Nora that you work with, and
North, the Elijah Wood movie where he.
Oh no, fuck that movie. That movie's a piece of shit.
I saw it on I saw it once on VHS, and I was like, this is not as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, there were a lot of those as a kid. Just renting them either because who's in it, not so much as a kid who was directing it. It was more about like who was in it, kind of stuff. And you would rent some things and just like, oh man, this is like, how many people back in the day, because word of mouth was around, but how many people rented the Macaulay Culkin movie? What was it, Good Son?
Oh man,
and they're just like, "What is this? I thought it was gonna be this it's Macaulay Culkin," and they rent that, and they're like, "Holy!"
I rented that knowing what was happening, and I remember being told in advance, like, he says the F word in the movie, like, really? And like, I remember we
your dad wouldn't let you watch that part?
No, dad did. No, I think we rented Son-in-Law instead, because it was the Good Son was checked out, and the minute the lesbian scene kicked in, he was like, "All right, turn that off." And like, so I didn't get to see the rest of Son-in-Law until many years later.
That's a good movie.
It is. It's a fun movie. Yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah.
And Say No Man's still probably my favorite Pauly Shore movie.
But
Son-in-Law in the Army Now. Biodome and Jury Duty didn't click with me as much when I saw those as a kid.
I haven't watched Jury Duty, but Biodome I remember the most because we rented it, and I was dating this girl named Erica in 6th grade, and I pissed her off, and she smacked me in the head, but she hit me like right on the ear.
Oh.
So like my ear, I couldn't. It was just like really muffled, and I like freaked out because I was like, "Oh, am I gonna be deaf now?" and then it gradually came back, and we watched Biodome in the living room with my parents.
Oh, I was gonna say, where's the Biodome connection?
So that was my first viewing of Biodome, was just sitting there wondering if I was going to be deaf in my right ear for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, well, she must have knocked the hell out of you then.
Oh no, she smacked me really hard. I honestly, I couldn't recall like what I did to piss her off, but it was pretty easy to do back then.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I was gonna say, yeah, you probably didn't have to do too much.
That was one of those like whirlwind middle school relationships where it's just at any moment, like, I've talked about this before, but at any moment it's just you have some sort of argument, and you have multiple classes throughout the day, and let's say you have 4 classes, because I think that's what it was in middle school.
Yeah, middle school 4. Yeah, I think four blocks. I think.
Yeah, four blocks. So 2 of those we had together, and then like 2, one would be like PE, and one would be like whatever else. And during that, an argument would transpire. We would break up, right? And then like by the end of the day, like she's already courting, lining them up like it's the fucking Bachelor TV show, you know? It's like, who is this? Oh, well, Matt Dobbins is over here. What does he have to offer me, or whatever? And like, you know, like all the, and then come the end of the week, it's all building to this. She's gonna pick one. And I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again because it's fucking hilarious. You know, come Friday, you got the monthly school dance, right? And we're talking like, this would have been 1996.
Yeah, Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey's
One Sweet Day.
One Sweet Day, yeah.
Actually, I think, Tyler, that probably came a little. I think that was more like 97-ish. But
6th grade when I listened to that.
Boyz II Men was massive around this time. And I'm sitting up there in the bleachers, because it would take place in the gym. So we have like the basketball court, and then we got 2 sets of bleachers on the sides, run all the way down the court. All of a sudden, on Bended Knee by Boyz II Men starts playing, because that was the first song that we slow danced to at our very first. They called them sock hops.
Yeah,
It's kind of dumb, especially in the 90s, because we weren't like, no one was dressing up. We were just wearing the clothes we were wearing in school that day. We're there on Bended Knees playing, and here she comes on the other side of the bleachers, walking down with this other guy. It wasn't Matt Dobbins, but she was walking down with this other guy. What? And I'm like, that's our song. She's not gonna dance with him, is she? And then she starts dancing, and I just like start crying, and John's beside me trying to console me. It was like an episode of Dawson's Creek or something, dude. Like, it was so it's so stupid. I'm like, I'm in love.
It's good that you could laugh, because back then you think stuff like that is like
it was like the end all be all everything. It was everything, you know.
And parents will just tell you like, oh, you don't need to be dealing with stuff. It's like, you
don't get it, Mom. Yes. You just don't get it.
And it's unfortunate that those things that your parents tell you when you're shattered over some girl you got a thing for in your 5th grade or 6th grade class, thinking like, oh my God, well, my life is over. Like, you have no idea what life is about at all. But you know what? When that's all you know, it's hard to comprehend what adults are telling you. Like, you don't need to be fooling that kind of stuff, or you don't need to be having girlfriends at that age and all that other stuff. And it's a shame you can't understand that. Like, all the things that adults tell you to know, you won't learn until you're an adult.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that you just can't teach yourself, or the kids will never just, you know what? I don't need this shit. We're not doing this anymore.
We're not doing that. I'm sure there were probably kids that had that mindset.
I'm sure. Well, I know. I'm sure ones that were their parents are like, no, we're not allowing you to date until you reach a certain age, so that way you're focused on.
You're not allowed to date until Kat does. Well, she never goes out on dates.
Yeah.
So you won't either.
Then you'll never date. Oh, I like that.
Bringing it back. Like poetry.
But she never dates, then you'll never date. Oh, well. Larry Miller, he's a great father in that movie. I like him in anything he's in too.
Yeah.
But it's just it's I wish that
Bianca would let me play every now and again. You kept me on the bench for years. That's not, it's like sort of quote. It's not direct. I need to watch it again. Then I'll start quoting it and it'll all come back to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of puts me in the mood to sit down and watch. I haven't watched it. I was like, you know what, that's my quote for tonight. So. Oh
man, yeah, you gotta revisit that. All right, we're gonna get out everyone's hair. Enjoy the next few days. We'll catch you soon during the week.
Take care, everyone.
Yo,